Hey, it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon. It is hot, real hot and humid, and I'm doing the one thing that most people would call me crazy for. Today we are going to be going over how to delete an AC system on a V6 Mustang. Now, the 3.8 liter V6, whether it was all the way back in the Fox body, all the way up until I think about 2003. I mean, the 3.9 could be similar. But for the most part, a lot of this is going to be pretty similar. Seeing as, you know, power steering pump, that's ancient design that Ford used for years. Realistically, it's going to be pretty similar to what I'm doing now. So I'm just going to give you guys the rundown. I'm not going to go too in depth. I'm just going to be one of my normal videos of kind of show you what you're looking at, kind of what you need to do it. I feel like you guys know how to remove bolts, pull AC condensers, and I feel there's enough, you know, videos out there, you know, YouTube or wherever else, that can actually show you how to, you know, remove an AC compressor. You know, I'll give you, you know, a couple of pointers, some good tips. So first and foremost, if there is still any kind of refrigerant in your lines, take it to a shop and have them suck it down. If you either A, don't work at a shop, or, you know, don't have a buddy that's just going to hook you up, and just explain to them what you're doing. Just say, hey, I want the system evacuated, and that's it. So normally they'll charge you, you know, an evacuate and recharge fee. You know, talk to them, see, it's like, look, all I need is this pulled down, the system's getting deleted, and I have no intention of ever putting it back on. See, you know, they might be able to, you know, cut you a little bit better of a deal. Most places anywhere from 90 to 250 bucks, just depending on the shop. I mean, there's a lot of variables there, but basically you're going to pull your AC compressor. So you've got one main connector that engages your clutch. So your clutch is up here. But you can see I'm actually really close to hitting that intake, so I have not been using the AC now for about a month, and I'm getting along just fine. I love the heat. I hate the cold. It's nice and hot, 110, 105 degrees outside, and I'm sitting in traffic with the windows rolled down, loving it. So basically you got one connector here. It's one of these pry off tabs right here. So you're going to pull up on this tab and this connector is going to pop out. Just be very careful with this. I would recommend a very, very small flathead, even a pocket screwdriver, just to very carefully pry behind that and then pull this off. And then take some lithium grease and stick in the end of the connector on this side and put a little bit on that side. That'll just keep any water or anything from getting in there, and kind of preserve that line, because there are some things you can do with this circuit, as far as tuning goes, as far as controlling solenoids or relays, or, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it. So I would not say to cut this off, because this can be used. I would definitely secure it out of the way somewhere it's not going to get damaged. A little bit of lithium grease in the front of it. Now, once you have the system sucked down by the shop, these are your service valves here. You heard that little when I took it off? That's normal, because these Schrader valves do tend to leak just a little bit, and there's an O-ring down in here that actually can help seal that. But if you don't know, you can take a little pocket screwdriver and just touch that, and if it sprays out, you know you got way too much pressure in that system. Do not vent that to atmosphere. There's EPA restrictions that prevent you from doing that, especially R134A. It's not super harmful compared to the older R12s and older R22 refrigerants, but it is still dangerous to the ozone, and we just got that fixed, so please don't screw that up for me. I'm rather quite enjoying having an ozone layer over me again. I don't think I've really noticed the difference, but they say it's back. So next, you've got a 10mm bolt right here, and that will actually disconnect both lines off of the AC compressor. If you want to try to throw these on eBay, or, you know, take them to a swap meet, see if somebody isn't looking for a set of these, you could definitely cap those ends. That will prevent moisture from getting in there and any kind of dirt and shit, because one little piece of sand, one little rock in that system will destroy that AC compressor. AC compressors have more moving parts inside of themselves than the rest of this car does. I kid you not, there are more moving parts inside of that AC compressor than you would ever imagine. And if you ever get the opportunity to take one apart, I'd highly recommend it. It'll blow your mind what goes on inside of an AC compressor. That does not mean I can explain what goes on, because there is a lot of stuff inside of there. Not necessary. I mean, if yours is still working and it hasn't crapped the bed, I'd say, you know, see if you can't get 20 bucks for it. You know, 20, 40, 30 bucks. I mean, see what a junkyard's charging for it. Throw it on eBay, you know, see what happens. But anyways, once you get that line off, 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, we'll unbolt the entire AC compressor, and then down underneath of here, there is a giant bracket that holds, you can see there's the automatic tensioner, there's the bracket, you can see 2 of the bolts that go into the head, and there's another 2 or 3 in there. Just kind of feel for them. Once you get that compressor off, that's going to come off pretty easy. Now, Ford does sell a bracket. It's a 4-bolt bracket. It bolts on right where the AC compressor was, and just basically puts a pulley back right here, which you're not really going to see really any performance improvements doing this. You know, maybe a little bit of rotating mass on the belt. You're not going to see much, and you really shouldn't feel it at all. The biggest difference is weight, and there's not a whole lot of weight getting lost. That AC compressor, 5, maybe 15 pounds. Realistically, I don't have a bathroom scale to throw it on, but really not a whole lot of weight there. But you are removing weight off the front of the vehicle, and especially in front of the strut towers will significantly improve the weight distribution front to rear, which you want a perfect 50-50, but there are very few cars on the road that are actually anywhere even close to that. Most cars are anywhere from 70-30 to 80-20, and that's just normal because you have a big heavy engine depending. So for instance, you can see the center of the strut tower, you've got all that weight basically leaning on the very front of the vehicle. So if my wrist is the front of the vehicle, all that weight is kind of pushing up on the front, and your back's back here just dangling around. So the more weight, the better transfer you can get. The closer you can get to a 50-50 weight distribution front and rear, the better off you're going to be. And that's why you'll see some manufacturers like Corvette. I think the Miata was pretty well based. I think the RX 8 and 7 were pretty well based as well. I mean, there's quite a few cars out there that were pretty well based, but they're kind of far and few in between. So also moving a battery to the trunk will make significant improvements. More in handling, but handling is really what you need, especially when you dip into a corner way too fast with way too many RPMs trying to spin out those rear tires. You want to keep all 4 tires on the ground, because any tire picking off is going to create an imbalance and you can roll the vehicle. So not a whole lot to be gained other than weight loss, but for me this is going to open up a ton of room for that turbo that's going in here. More on that, waiting on a couple more paychecks, saving up my money, should be getting a nice welding machine. I'm still looking at prices and kind of what I'm looking for. I'm feeling I want to do MIG for the cost, but the price of argon and a separate tank for that, I mean, it's definitely going to run me some money, but I've definitely wanted a welder for a long time. I've been doing it in the industry for a few years now, mostly exhaust work, a couple other projects here and there, but I'm really excited, hopefully make quite a few videos on that. But basically, let's get back to this AC compressor. So before you do that, when you go to delete the AC compressor, this is, in my opinion, the better way. Better than the Ford bracket, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete the tensioner, the compressor, the bracket, open up a ton of room there, and the belt's going to get significantly shorter. And so you'll have to buy a custom belt. Not necessarily a custom one, but you're going to have to kind of walk into a parts store with a little bit of knowledge under your own belt before you can get the right belt. So what you're going to want to do first and foremost is take off the old belt, which, if I could find my wrench, what you're going to do is you're going to stick your wrench or your ratchet here down on the compressor, and you're using the center bolt. This is what tensions it, and this is what removes it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to take an 18 mil, you're going to stick it on there, and you're actually going to tighten this, or what you would think would be tightened. This is actually a left-handed threaded bolt versus your standard right-hand thread, meaning this bolt comes out righty loosey, lefty tighty. And I know that it screws with me so bad every time I run into a bolt like this. And there's a number of different places you'll see stuff like this. But for this purpose, the reason they did this is that when you go to release tension, you actually have to pull up on this, which would loosen that bolt, and then you're going to slip, you're going to smash your hand, and this tensioner is never going to ever be able to be released. But if you go righty-tighty with it, or sorry, lefty-tighty with it, then as you're picking it up, you're actually tightening the bolt as you are releasing the tension off of your belt. So first and foremost, you're going to want to crack that off. So crack it loose, go all the way up, or push down on it, then that will actually crack that loose, and you're going to get a couple of real slow turns out of it, and then flip it back the other way and release the tension off the belt. Now what that's going to do is that's going to ensure that that bolt is not over torqued when you go to remove it, because once that belt's off of there, you don't really have anything really to help. And if you put too much torque on this, meaning turning it righty-loosey, trying to take that nut back off of there, you're going to shatter that tensioner. And the only reason that it matters, I mean, it's getting thrown away anyways on this rig, is because if you get the wrong size belt the first time, it's going to bite you in the ass pretty hard, because then you're not going to be able to get your Mustang back to the parts store to get what you need. Hopefully you've got another car to get you there, or somebody that can get you a ride, and hopefully they'll have the right size belt for you. I ended up going to 3 or 4 different parts stores. Finally got one. This is from Advanced Auto Parts. This is the part number that I found that was going to fit for me, 59¼ inch. I want you to pay attention to this right there. 59¼ inch outside. I don't know why they would put a C. OD would make sense. Outside diameter, outer circumference maybe, possibly. But this is a Gates belt, KO60586. Yeah, that should be about what you need, somewhere in that ballpark. So what you need, the other thing you need is a bracket. This is an old alternator tensioning bracket. This will bolt right up. Now unfortunately I don't remember where I got this from. You can see this is slightly bent, and it came this way. I did not bend that to kind of create that offset, but you can see I've already got this installed. So basically you're going to pull this bolt, is what came out of here. You're going to pull him out, you're going to replace him into here with another bolt, and then you're going to put a nut on the end of that one, or you can find another nut and bolt, whatever you want to do, and reattach it. And then what that's going to do is that's going to allow you, once that tensioner is deleted, to route the belt up and over, and it's going to route the exact same way. So alternator down around the power steering pump, around the crank, around the water pump, and this is where it's going to change, is this belt is not going to continue over to the tensioner and over to the compressor. It's going to stop here. It's then going to wrap around this pulley and go back over to here. Now the problem is this pulley is a smooth pulley, and you will be putting the ribs of the belt down here on top of this, and that's going to allow this to slip off. So what you actually have to do is, once you've loosened this bolt and taken the belt off, then you're going to want to take this pulley off and switch it places to here. And I've already done this a couple of times in the junkyard to make sure that it will fit. And these pulleys are an identical diameter, other than the fact that that one is grooved a little bit, so there might be a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch difference between the pulleys as far as where the belt rides. But it's going to get you close enough. And the way that I measured, because unfortunately I don't remember what this bracket came off of, the way I measured, and I believe I learned this off of Hot Rod, no, it wasn't Hot Rod Garage, it was Roadkill, David Freiberger. But basically take a shoelace and start here and wrap it all the way around. You might have to tie 2 of them together, wrap it back around, and then tie a knot and pull it tight. And so you know exactly where that belt's going to ride, exactly the length that you need. Then you're going to cut that, pull it out, stick it on a tape measure, stretch it out, and see what your length is. And I was lucky enough, I went into AutoZone. So what you want to do in O'Reilly, I mean, they didn't have this. Yours might. They looked like they could have ordered it, but they were like 2 weeks out from getting it. Anyways, I got that from Advanced Auto. But what you're going to want to do is ask them to borrow the belt to see if it will fit. Explain to them that you are deleting the AC system and that you just need to see that the belt is going to be close enough that the tensioner is going to work. You're not actually going to apply any tension to the belt. You're simply going to see if it will fit. Because if it's too long, it's not going to work. So make sure when you go there, you've got tools to crack this guy loose, and also release the tension on the old belt, pull the old belt off, slide the new one on, see if it's going to fit. And in my instance, I found that 60 inches was too long and 56 inches was too short. And so the only other, when I got to Advanced, they had a 57 inch and they had a 59 and a quarter, which is what this one is. Also remember that this is a 6-rib belt, meaning you're counting the actual ribs. So the ribs stick out and the valley is where the guts go. So that's how I remember it. Rib, 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 rib. There's 6 of those. And so long as you're courteous and you're respectful, most of them will let you walk right out into the parking lot, try the belt, and then when it's right or it's wrong, they'll see if they've got another one that's either longer or shorter for you. Should be able to help you out. Just be patient with them and they'll be patient with you. But that will basically free up a ton of space for you guys. I hope that helps. I tried doing research trying to find a way to delete the AC compressor without doing that silly bracket. I bought tons. Well, a lot of these are junkyard. Some of these are old takeoff. Like some of these, like that's a timing belt pulley. Probably shouldn't go on there anyways. But I collected all kinds of those, trying to figure out a way to tension the belt, and this is the best method that I've come up with. I don't believe I've seen anyone else do this, so this is my method of doing it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Now there are some drawbacks because originally there was an automatic tensioner, which as the engine accelerates, the crankshaft pulley can actually start pulling more belt than what's there, and so that tensioner can actually compensate and apply more pressure on the belt as it needs it. However, these style have been around for years and years and years. I've got an old, here actually, let me show it to you. I've got my brother's tractor. See that beautiful John Deere out there? There it is, and it's using that exact same style bracket. The technology's been around forever. It works, it functions, and it's going to delete a lot of unnecessary equipment in my case. Just remember, if you have a wife or a girlfriend or people ride around with you a lot, especially in the hot summer, you might not want to do this. I mean, you're not going to see a ton of, as far as performance wise, you're not going to see a lot. But if you're going full-blown turbo race car and you love the heat like I do, and rip it out of there. But I mean, like my wife, for example, she hates riding around in this thing. I scare the hell out of her in this car. Doesn't like the way it rides. It's got a stiffer suspension, and she just doesn't enjoy it. And so she'll never ride in this. Anytime we go anywhere, we hop in the G37, and she loves it. So I mean, not a big deal for me. It's coming out of here. I'll give you another update once I get the system sucked down. I forgot to do that this week. I was waiting to find that belt. It's been about 3 weeks I've been hunting that thing down. But that's your part number. That's what you need. Any questions, guys, feel free to leave them in the comments. Love to help you guys out. I get a kick out of it more than you think, helping people out. So any other questions on these Mustangs, just let me know. See if I can't help you out. Have an excellent day, guys.